Dwayne Jones here with Nick Williams and Andrew Cherico right outside the bounce house, which is currently a work in progress, just like this UCF football team, as their spring camp comes to a close. Nick, you got the chance to speak with head coach Scott Frost towards the end of camp. Tell us more about what he said.
Yeah, Coach Frost said that this camp was a success, and one word that he used a lot was potential. There's a lot of guys on the field that he saw great potential in, and when it comes to some leaders, they haven't quite yet stepped up, but summer conditioning will be the perfect time for that to happen.
Success, that's something that Night Nation wants to hear, but Andrew, we also saw a couple players go down this spring.
Yeah, Dwayne, it wasn't all perfect. We saw two major contributors go down this spring, especially quarterback Cam Fancher, who has a finger injury, but we don't know the severity of that. But a player we do know has a severe injury is wide receiver Day Farmer, who injured his leg during an open practice during spring. And with all these injuries and players exiting through the transfer portal, there's a lot of gaps that Scott Frost needs to fill in. And through the use of his own transfer portal and some players who haven't enrolled on the team yet, we have not seen this final night's roster.
Now, if you missed any reports from us this spring, we have them for you right here. You're going to hear from players like kicker Grant Reddick and quarterback Dylan Risk, who are no longer on this team, but it sure is interesting to hear their perspective from when they were still in Orlando.
Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. The second iteration of the Frost era is now officially underway, as UCF head coach Scott Frost is back and leading the team for a second go-around, now starting off with spring practice. Coach Frost says it'll be a process, but the guys are ready to go.
No, it's fun. I really like the staff that we have put together. I'm going to enjoy going to work every day with those guys. The players have been great to be around. Like I said, this has got to be a process, and I think if you're uptight as a coach, you go out and then the first time everybody's running any of these plays full speed against another group or defense is full speed against an offense, kind of had a low expectations for today. That's probably about what we got. Some good things and just a bunch of sloppiness that we got to clean up, but that's why we're practicing.
Spring practice means a new beginning for UCF football and head coach Scott Frost. Excitement is in the air with lots of new faces and opportunities. Coach Frost expects players to build the right work ethic if they want to earn a starting spot on the team.
No, I'm excited every day. I was really excited to go out there today and be around the guys. It's a good group of guys, and they've shown willingness to be able to work hard. They give me the impression they really want to improve on where they've been, and if they keep giving us effort, we'll get there. The number one thing I tell them is they just bring the enthusiasm and the effort. We can fix the technique and the little things on the field. That's our job as coaches, but you can't fix effort. It was pretty good today. I don't think they quite know the standard that we expect from them yet as far as tempo of practice, running from drill to drill, being full speed at practice, taking care of each other, but they'll learn quick, and as practice went on, I thought it got better.
UCF players will continue learning and gearing up as spring practice continues on Thursday. With your spring report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
New. That's the word flying around this UCF football team. Spring practice is underway here at UCF with Scott Frost back at the helm and 40 new players added to the squad. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF here at the Nicholson Fieldhouse after Tuesday's spring practice. Players like Paul Rubel and Miles Montgomery are excited to be back on the practice field, but recognize the challenges of having new faces on both sides of the ball.
Different than the last couple of years, for sure. It's new, it's fun. It's always fun to be out there, so I'm ready for the next practice. Just, it's just different coaches, just different, not style practice, but just different things, just new things.
Yeah, that's one of the things Coach Frost talked about. That's what's going to make us a great team coming together. I feel like we've done a good job of that. I mean, most of the time we were separated offense and defense during the summer just because we had new installs for everything. But when we come together, it's good.
I want the guys to know what the expectations are, like I said, and the work ethic that it's going to take, and it's also really important, I think, to start to build a team. Even through winter conditioning, we got a collection of individuals, a whole bunch of guys that weren't here last year. Being able to take a bunch of guys that are new to each other and new to the team and a bunch of coaches that are new and build a cohesive unit and a team out of that is going to be a challenge.
This team is still fresh and will work to gain continuity as spring practice continues. The next scheduled media availability is on Thursday, March 13th. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. The second day of spring practice where the defense is putting in the work, but it's all in progress. we got to speak with defensive coordinator Alex Grinch and the DB room. Coach Grinch says a defense can't be built in 2 days, but he will utilize all of spring camp to see which guys put in the most effort.
Yeah, a lot of up and down. I mean, I think the number one thing is you don't build a program in 2 days. Certainly there's some positives that you see. And still we're in that phase with just a couple days where, helmets and you don't have pads on or anything like that. So it's kind of a continuation of the offseason in so many ways. Obviously competitiveness goes up and you can do some more things. Yeah, I think, one of the big things is just, create the expectation from an effort standpoint as well as an execution standpoint. Effort's not extra, and sometimes the situation you find yourselves in, especially with inexperienced football players, if I give great extra, if I give great effort, it's almost like I gave extra credit on that particular play. No, that's the expectation every single snap. And
Iron sharpens iron. That's exactly how Coach Grinch views the opportunity to go against head coach Scott Frost's offense in practice.
An absolute, massive challenge defensively. From there's nothing you don't see. There's nothing you can kind of, cross off and say, well, we're not going to have to handle, this adjustment or this formation or this type of play. It has a variation of just about everything, which as a defensive coach, you got two options. You either say, well, that's a frustration, or you can say, what a great opportunity for us. And so
Friday, the intensity ramps up as the players will be putting on pads for the first time this spring. With your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
Trace Trylko, Sons of UCF inside the Nicholson Fieldhouse following Thursday's practice and media availability with defensive coordinator Alex Grinch and DB transfer from FAU Philip Dunham. He had 2 interceptions during Tuesday's practice, another during Thursday's practice. We also heard from hometown hero Sanford's Damari Henderson, who sat out all of the 24 season with injury. He's happy to be back on the field and playing football. What's the process of forming chemistry with guys? A lot of new faces, so you're all getting to know one another.
Definitely. One process I am committed to is off the field, getting a guy or whoever it is, getting with him, watching film with him, going out with him, whatever the case may be, just building that chemistry. So on the field, it's way easier. Way easier to make a play, way easier to make a check, whatever the case may be.
Anytime you love the game, you got to sit out is always tough, just watching the guys out there. You want to be out there so bad, but just knowing it's not going to go the way you want to is always tough.
How did you approach that from a mental standpoint, not being able to do what you love?
And it was kind of hard, but I got my brother with me, so every day just talking to me, I'm talking to him. You got people around you that just check up on you, like old guys. I'd say one guy Clayton Gallagher from the old crew, check up on you, just have people that talk to you. You gotta just talk. You don't want to sit in the room all day. You get in your thoughts and all that. But definitely was a black hole for sure.
And help you stay engaged with the team to have that.
Oh yeah, the guys on the team last year, just being in the locker room and being around the guys and just the energy around there, it just helped you. Just get out your room. You feel me? Get out your comfort zone. That'll help you.
Up next for the Knights' Day 3 of spring camp on Friday, and we're expected to talk with offensive coordinator Steve Cooper. The Knights are on spring break next week, so no practice. The plan after that is after every practice, we'll hear from a different assistant coach with head coach Scott Frost back April 5th following the first open practice. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Trace Trylko.
Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. Pads on for the third spring practice, where we got to learn a little bit more about the offense from offensive coordinator Steve Cooper, who also coaches the tight ends. Coach Cooper says the team is still getting the fundamentals down offensively, but the training wheels are starting to come off.
It was good. A lot of fun. Energy is good. Guys are learning a lot. Right now we're just trying to get the wheels on the track. For the most part, guys are learning a lot of new things, and everyone wants offensive plays and defensive plays and special teams, but it's the drills, right? Getting from A to B, we're coaching transitions, just getting our culture squared away with how hard we need to practice and what the expectation is. So that's really what it's been this week, mostly what it's about, but it's been good.
How it is picking his mind offensively and working together to build this offensive game plan?
It's a good question. So where we're at right now, we're implementing a lot of the fundamentals, the base fundamentals. It's probably more about that than it is the scheme. So, there's layers to this thing, and right now we're on layer 1. But it's been fun, and it's good to be with Coach Frost because he is that brain when it comes to offensive football. So it's great. It's fun.
For school purpose, players will be going on spring break next week, but the coaches will stay behind scheming and building practice game plans as they continue to prepare for the rest of spring. Along with the team, I'll be on spring break. With your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
Hello, Nation. I'm Nick Williams for the Sons of UCF. UCF football kicks off their third and final spring practice before going into spring break, this time donning the pads, and an increase in intensity was very noticeable. Offensive coordinator Steve Cooper is trying to find ways to get two experienced tight ends, Kalen Fox and Dylan Wade, to use this newfound effort and complement each other on the field.
Question, both those guys are kind of in the same spot in relationship to learning our system. So again, it just, not to answer your question very cliche, but it does come back down to fundamentals. That's what we're harping on right now, is the basic fundamentals of playing football. And for those guys right now, a lot of those guys know how to catch passes and get open, but it's blocking. That's a big emphasis that we put into our individual time right now, is the technique of blocking a person in front of you. Today was the first day in pads, so I'm excited to look at the tape and see what that looks like.
Fox and Wade have formed a brotherly bond and are both set to become complete tight ends.
Yeah, when Dylan got here, I immediately knew he was gonna be my brother. We're getting close, and our best foot forward, and we're gonna be pretty good this year.
How do you feel like your skill sets, you and Dylan, kind of complement one another?
Yeah, he played at Maryland last year. He's like a hybrid tight end as well, and good pass catcher. He's good in the run game as well, and I feel like he wants to be a complete tight end as well. So
For the junior and sophomore tight ends, mentorship is never one-sided.
I can say he probably used some of the stuff he sees in my game. He used it, and some things I like him, I'll use it too. So yeah.
What do you like most in his game?
Really, I feel like he might be a better blocker than me. So I try to take some tips from that. So yeah.
UCF football and the entire student body will be on spring break next week. UCF football will look to hit the practice fields once again the week after. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Nick Williams.
Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. Spring break is over, but spring camp is back. On a Tuesday practice where we got to speak with special teams coordinator P. Alomar and kicker Grant Reddick, but to be honest, the quarterback battle is taking all the shine, and I was able to observe some throws. Let me show you what I saw. Transfer QB from Indiana, Taven Jackson, has shown some strong performances in the short flashes we've seen, getting the TD ball to Kylan Fox. Another transfer, Cam Fancher from FAU, has shown some really impressive arm talent, getting this corner route to wide receiver Marcus Burke. Familiar face Jakari Brown has been working hard on his accuracy and movement, completing this rollout sidearm pass to Jordan Bridgewater. Returning Knights quarterback Dylan Risk, who took the field in the last 5 games for the Knights last season, is still improving, and it shows on this short flat route for the completion. Back here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse, a short-handed special teams unit has been putting in the work to make sure they complete their goal of being amongst the best in the Big 12.
There's want to win and knowing how to win and knowing how to work to win. And we've got a great desire to win. And now it's my job, from a special team standpoint, to teach them how to work to win.
Getting stronger on the lower half. One thing I'm trying to focus on this spring is getting some more distance on my kickoffs. Just trying to build the leg strength a little bit more than it is thus far. So
You've seen games?
Yeah, I have so far, and we still have a long way to go to the season as well. So.
Coach Alomar says he wants 2 kickers, 2 punters, and 2 long snappers on the team before the beginning of the season, but he'll probably have to hit the portal to do so. With your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF. Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. With no Kobe Hudson or Jacoby Jones, that leaves the question, who's catching passes for the Knights in 2025? On Thursday, we got to speak with associate head coach and wide receiver coach Sean Beckton Sr., as well as emerging wide receivers Dwayne Thomas and DJ Black. With little experience in the wide receiver room, Coach Beckton said he'll be working his guys as hard as he can during the spring to find out who starts in the fall.
It's been good. The guys are working hard. Got a long way to go with them. Inexperienced group. Some guys have really showed that they can help us. Some guys we still trying to figure out, if they're going to be able to help us this year. But we're pushing hard and grinding them every day. Coach Frost, he's going to get the maximum out of the offense and really the whole team. And we're excited. Every day we come out trying to get better. Well, right now we're trying to push them to learn everything that we want in our offensive scheme. And then, like last 2 days, we've shown them a little bit of red zone, what we want to do there, and then a little bit of third down situations. And then as we progress, we're going to put them in situations where they got to they got to roll for 8, 9, 10 play sets. So we're going to figure out who can really grind through, who can push mentally through the 5th, 6th play and fight through a little bit of fatigue and figure out what we got to do offensively.
0. That's the number of passes caught by the current group of UCF wide receivers from the team last season. You heard me right. None. Coach Becton and Frost are working with all the players and tallying everything they can from practice.
And that's the thing that we say pretty much every day. Right now we have a group that coach doesn't want us to change that's starting, but they know we're competing every single day. I keep a chart on catches, how many drops. I keep a chart on effort. I keep a chart on loafs. I keep a chart on what I call 2-yard rule, blocking a guy for 2 yards, when the ball's being snapped and downfield. And, right now they're competing every single day, and they know, there's a standard that I'm trying to uphold.
Young and inexperienced is what Coach Becton is working with right now. But with such an open competition, somebody is bound to step up. At least that's the hope, as players will continue to keep proving themselves with upcoming practices and open scrimmages just around the corner. With your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
No block, no rock. That's the mentality wide receivers coach Sean Becton Sr. is trying to instill in his wideouts. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF here at the Nicholson Fieldhouse after Thursday's spring practice. This is day 5 of spring practice for the Knights, and the receivers are making progress when it comes to more than just catching a pass.
I mean, we have to block. We can't just throw the ball all day. You know what I'm saying? So we got great running backs. So I think we all, as a unit, we understand that blocking is very important. If we don't block, no block, no rock. You know what I'm saying? So I think we all understand that it's important, and it's kind of fun seeing those guys dominate in the blocking in the perimeter. So we just trying to get to that point.
Just still like being detailed. Like one of the things we like to work on is blocking. So I like to use my speed to help me block. So one thing that he's taught us is from the long stride, short stride, and being able to use my speed to stop defenders that's coming down and making good blocks and stuff like that. So
the Knights will be back in action for their first scrimmage on Saturday, March 29th. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF. Violence. Football is a violent sport, and that's exactly what defensive tackle coach Kenny Martin is trying to instill in his line and what he wants to see on every snap. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF here at the Nicholson Fieldhouse after Tuesday's spring practice. Coach Kenny Martin told us this line is nowhere close to where they need to be, but with John Walker returning off of injury and a handful of new faces on this line, they're hoping that the baby steps they're taking now will pay dividends in the fall.
Well, truthfully, man, we're nowhere close to where we need to be. And I say that is a lot of guys, we got some transfers in, and we got a lot of young guys that really never had a chance to really play much, right? So right now they have a lot of bad habits that I'm trying to clean up and really show them the habits that we want here at UCF. Show them my habits. Because again, I was fortunate to be here for 4 years, 4 seasons, and I had some guys that been with me the whole time. The thing about it is those guys are gone. So now I'm starting from ground zero with these guys. But the good thing about it, man, we took a step in the right direction. And every single day I told them, hey, man, let's just take one baby step. I'm not looking for All-Americans today. But by the time August come, by the time December come, I better have somebody on the All-American list, you know what I mean? All-conference list. But
we had a meeting yesterday, and Coach Duval said if anything fails, you can relate on violence. Violence is the key of everything. So I just take that into consideration. Just be violent with everything you do, and everything will make it away.
The defense, you can make a lot of plays as D tackles. So I feel like they put us in right positions to make plays, and I feel like every defense, it just depends on the scheme and everything. But overall, I like the scheme, and I feel like it's good for the whole defense, pretty much.
Really just focusing on your key, knowing your assignment, knowing the play, knowing your job just before the play, after the play, just knowing playing, really executing.
Now all eyes are on Thursday when we'll get to speak with quarterbacks coach Mackenzie Milton and the signal callers who are all fighting for the top spot. For now, I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
Who's the guy? UCF football's quarterback room is full of talent going into this offseason, where 4 out of 5 quarterbacks on this year's spring roster have already started in a collegiate football game, and every single one of them believes that they're up next. I'm Nick Williams reporting for the Sons of UCF inside of the Nicholson Fieldhouse, where our media got to speak to quarterbacks coach Mackenzie Milton, who spoke on just how competitive this quarterback battle really is.
Yeah, man, like I said, attitude and effort-wise, they've done a great job of learning the playbook, drawing up plays day in and day out. And then the two guys that were here, JB and Dylan, those guys have done a great job bringing them in. And like I said, it's been pleasant to see. I think they're on the verge of all becoming friends, and that's what you hope for as a quarterback having a room, or as a quarterback coach having a room. These guys supporting each other, coaching each other up. Saw a little bit of it out there today, so that's all I can ask, man. These guys are busting their butts when they get their reps. They're maximizing them, and I love my room. I love the 5 guys we got. I really do.
Coach Milton's time as a player has given him a different perspective when coaching this quarterback room, but he believes attitude and effort are at the top of his priority list.
Yeah, I think it helps, just speaking from personal experience as a player. But that's not what I hang my hat on in terms of just validity when I speak. Coaching's a whole lot different than playing, and I think my journey as a player helped me to get into coaching from the time I got hurt. Helping Dylan, and then my role at Florida State. Helping Jordan Travis. I think it helped me just see things from a different perspective, that you're not always going to be the guy. So those are lessons you got to learn being in a room where there's only one taking it. So, I'm grateful just for the journey God's brought me on, and I'm grateful for, like I said, the attitude and effort our 5 guys have brought day in and day out, because we're not just repping one guy, we're not just repping 2 guys, everybody's repping, and they're starting to feed into each other and helping each other out, so it's been fun to watch.
The best part about UCF's quarterback battle is how every single player is learning Coach Frost's scheme through game tape of Mackenzie Milton's time as a Knight, and every single quarterback is planning on recreating his success through their own abilities and talents.
It's funny because when we watch film, we actually watch him. So, because he ran this offense, so he was showing us, you guys like that ball? It's just kind of funny, So, definitely learning from him. He's the one in the plays. We're watching the film from when he played 5-7 years ago. So, it's definitely funny watching him play. And then he's like, do this because I did this, and then we do this.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal. It's almost like we always joke around when he makes a good play. We're always like, okay, KZ, we see you, but it's almost like he was doing this I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So it's good for us to see a coach, playing, and his experience that he gives us is super beneficial to us as quarterbacks, because we're running the same offense as he did. So if we have any questions, he knows the answer.
Learning from Coach KZ has been very beneficial, and for most quarterbacks, they already believe their unique athleticism will earn them that starting position.
For me, it's being more consistent and making a throw, because I can make all the throws in the book. I know that, I believe that, but it's more or less taking every play, every rep like it's a game rep, and just stacking days on top of each other for sure. Because I know I'm the best in the nation. That's how I feel. But I just got to go show that to you guys and everybody else.
I feel like I'm really a field general out there. I feel like not only do you have to respect the pass and the deep shots and the intermediate and the quick game, but you also have to respect me as an escape artist and getting out of the pocket and be able to do some things, and not only escaping just to run, but escaping to create explosive plays for the guys downfield. So I feel like that's what I bring to the table. I'm not just a pocket passer, but at the same time, my job playing and play out is how can I make this play successful. So whatever I can do, playing and play out, that's what I'm going to do. If it's to take the check down, I'm going to take the check down. If it's to take my first read, I'm going to take it. But if I need to extend and make plays, I feel like I have that capability to do.
UCF fans will get to see for themselves as the Knights will be holding open practice this Saturday at the Bounce House starting at 10:30 a.m. Sons of UCF will have full coverage of Saturday's event. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Nick Williams.
It was a hot day, but the first open practice was a bit more than players just dipping their toes in the water. Andrew Cherico here outside of the Bounce House for the Sons of UCF. The first time this spring players practice in front of fans inside of FBC Mortgage Stadium. And while players are earning their spots on the team, UCF football head coach Scott Frost wants to see players embrace the challenge and culture of building a winning team.
It's been good. I think the guys were hungry to be pushed and to be challenged. We started that right away in the weight room. But, there's some guys really responding to that and really giving us effort, and there's some guys kind of dipping their toe in. And we need a bunch of fighters out there, and guys are going to be ready to go no matter what. Drop of a hat, they're ready to play football, and they're going to fight for their brothers. I think that culture needed some cultivation. I don't think it was there, and we're going to do our best to try to keep building it.
Ups and downs, picks and completions are what all of these quarterbacks are going through in what is still an open competition in which there is no clear front runner.
All four guys that are taking reps right now have done good things. What we really have to eliminate is the mistakes. For as many good plays as we're making, one catastrophic play hurts you worse than three really good plays help you. So I need guys that are seeing the game faster, making good decisions, and we really got to eliminate across the board with that group the catastrophic bad plays that are going to get a team beat. So we got to keep addressing that. I'm waiting for somebody to step out front and take it, and right now there's a lot of guys doing good things, but nobody that's really taking it and run with it.
Clamping down with big hits all around on the defensive side, no matter what look the offense has given them, the guys on the other side of the ball have been focused on attacking.
No, I thought early on in this practice, the defense came more ready to play than the offense. So we need more get up and go and just some tough attitude from those guys right from the beginning. As practice went on and as we had some more competitive drills, that got better. But that can't be a part-time thing. That's got to be the standard, and I don't think it was today.
Let's be realistic. This team is nowhere near where they expect themselves to be come fall. But Coach Frost knows that spring is for establishing a foundation, and players will continue to do so on Tuesday, where they're back at it on the practice field. With your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
The Bounce House is currently a work in progress, and so is this UCF football team. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF right outside FBC Mortgage Stadium after the first open spring practice. Fans and family members got to see these Knights in action, and it was a day that included great catches, interceptions from Nicholas Antoine, and a pick six from Andrew Harris, plus nearly all of the running backs finding the end zone. Even after this great day, these players still believe this team has a lot of room for improvement.
There's some good and some bad. Kind of any spring ball is like that. We're installing a lot of new stuff and throwing a lot of guys too, so there's mistakes. The biggest thing I was looking for is who was going to show up, be ready to go and fight and be tough. And we got a lot of that on that team. On this team, I don't think we have enough. And so we're going to keep pushing them and helping them understand the expectations we have. And we got a long way to go.
I feel like we did a good job of running to the ball. Like Frost said, we want to be the best in the nation at running to the ball. So that's our main emphasis every day, running hard. I feel like Coach Grant's always put an emphasis in the meeting on turnovers equals wins. Like the percentage of turnovers we get, the more wins we get. Like so, that's just big on that.
We'd like to take care of the ball a lot more, right? The defense, that's good though. The defense is getting us turnovers now. On the flip side of that, when we're getting short fields, like Coach Frost said, we got to execute on those. We can't give it right back to them, right? So probably protecting the ball more. Coach Frost puts the emphasis on speed in everything we do. Even if you're gonna mess up, do it fast. That's the name of the game. That's the way we operate on here now. So that's really emphasize speed. So practice is a lot faster, a lot more stuff we're doing at high speed.
We've hit the second half of spring practice now, and the Knights will be back on the field on Tuesday, April 8th. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
The race is on. I'm Nick Williams reporting for the Sons of UCF inside the Nicholson Fieldhouse after Tuesday's spring practice. UCF's running back roster is deep, with familiar faces and new ones. UCF running backs head coach Jimmy Beal got to speak on an acronym he uses for development called TBD. And for him, it means more than just to be determined.
Yeah, it's trust, brotherhood, determination, you know what I mean? But also you get to be determined, you know what I mean? They start with trust. Our guys, we have to believe from the first guy to the second guy to the third guy that guy is able to be a guy in the program that's going to make a play. I tell my guys to go hard every single play, and they need to have that trust that their brother is going to be able to come in the next play and do whatever he has to do. And we determine not to fail.
Having a well-rounded running backs room is not only important for UCF running backs coach Jimmy Beal, but also for the Knights head coach Scott Frost.
They're able to do it all right now, and that's the cool thing about Coach Frost's offense is We ask the running back to do it all: pass, block, receive, run the ball. You know what I mean? And I think those guys definitely match what he wants.
UCF running back Miles Montgomery is a player that likes to keep his teammates motivated. Montgomery says there's no one better to learn from than Coach Beal.
I love working with Coach Beal, man. He's, like I said before, he's a great teacher. Like I was telling guys, like, we learn the offense so fast. Sometimes we're install ahead of people, right? And it's just, I like that about him. You know, not too many times you get around people who are just great, like good teachers. You know what I mean? Of the game, really. So, yeah.
Western Michigan transfer and redshirt senior running back Jaden Nixon has been putting in the work this offseason, and he wishes he had more time with his coaching staff. He says they're building something special.
I wish I had more years under him. I can't lie. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, under Coach Frost, Coach Coop, this whole coaching staff, like, I just feel like something special is going to happen here.
The liveliness in this coaching staff can be seen by Coach Beal's determination to race his running back room by the end of spring. His players believe that this could be a safety hazard for their coach.
Yeah. I think those guys are fast. I always like to say I'm a little faster still. But, you know what I mean? I said we might have to race at the end of the spring, but those guys are doing a great job of just kind of holding true to that and playing fast through the whistle and at every play they can.
Coach Beal swears a guy that if he gets too much of training, he's going to run a 4.6. First of all, that's not good enough to be anybody in the room. Secondly, I don't think that would be smart for his health. He might pull something. I don't know.
You talking about racing?
Yeah.
Man, tell him you better warm up. He might pull something. You know what I mean?
One trait his players will need to beat him at is effort, a standard that Coach Beal says is non-negotiable.
Effort. You know what I mean? You got to give 100% effort. You know what I mean? And you can't coach effort. You know what I mean? Something with effort is in you. And I think those guys in the running back room right now are trying to have that extreme effort, that extreme talent to just be able to do whatever is needed of them.
The effort that the running backs are putting in during the spring will pay off dividends going into the fall. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Nick Williams.
Whether it's touches, speed, or even jeopardy, competition is the leading factor for all UCF running backs. Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. After a Thursday media availability, senior running backs Miles Montgomery and Jaden Nixon say everyone is feeding off of each other.
This offense, we go pretty fast, and our coaches expect us to give 100% effort. So he probably already told you, everybody, you know what I mean? Everyone's going to get used at some point, right? It may not be a handoff. You might just have to block real quick, right? But everyone's going to get used just by the nature of the way we play the game.
I know we all going to get out there and compete. Y'all should have seen us in there playing Jeopardy the other day. Like, it was teams of two, and we all, like, we going back and forth. No, he said this, he said that. Like, it's going to get competitive out there.
Again, he talked about how he wants us all to go hard every single time, and you have to trust that the guy behind you, is going to be all right. A little freshman behind you, he's going to be all right. You don't want to have to worry about, oh, man, I got to hurry up, get back in. Nah, take a breath. He got it.
I feel like we can all, like, just goof around and be us. Like, we all know that we're similar, but we all just have that little difference. We all have that little difference in us that makes us all that special. Like, I don't know what it is about this group, but I just love being around these guys. You mess up, you make a mistake, you get down a little bit, those guys are right there to pick you back up. They're joking around with you, you know what I'm saying, as if nothing happened. They talking to you about the next play as if, nothing happened. But, like, we all close, we all hang around, get on each other, joke around. I think we threw AG in a little hoop, the little mini hoop in there in the locker room. So
the end of spring camp is just around the corner, but fans will be able to see this team one last time in person this spring for the final open practice starting Friday, April 11th at 6 p.m. inside the Bounce House. And with your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
Tone setters. That's the job of an offensive lineman. But for this UCF team, it's more like setting fundamentals. The Friday Night Lights have ended, and I'm Dwayne Jones reporting for the Sons of UCF outside of the Bounce House after the final open practice of the spring. This UCF O-line is slowly but surely making the necessary improvements they need before the fall, but O-line coach Sean Clark told us that he's going to make sure he gets his best 5 come August.
Well, we have a lot of work to do for sure, but again, it goes back to base fundamentals. That's something we take pride in our unit, to be fundamentally sound. And but again, I think we have the right attitude. They come to work every single day. They're great in meetings, great in walkthroughs, and some of that's progressing on the field right now. There's some days that, man, we can be pretty good. Other days when we have to get back to work. So the good thing is we have 3 more days to practice, and I wish we were starting right now from spring ball number 1.
but we're not. So, but again, throughout the offseason, through OTAs, we'll have a better chance to evaluate and give ourselves the best chance to play the best 5.
Coach Sean Clark was previously a head coach before his arrival at UCF, where at Appalachian State he got a new perspective on how to now lead his current O-line group.
Coach Frost sets the direction of the program, and it's our job as assistant coaches to show what he does. I think if every assistant coach was a head coach one time in their career, they'd understand more of what to do. And that's something that I'm blessed to have been a head coach before, and to know what it's like to be perform for the head coach. I mean, our job as head coaches is to tell the truth and find solutions and keep things off his desk. So again, I'm very thankful for Coach Frost for the opportunity, and I just look forward to the offseason, this upcoming season.
Overall, for Coach Clark, this O-line and UCF team, it was a very physical practice to close out their last open practice of this spring. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
Andrew Cherico here outside of the bounce house for the Sons of UCF. Wrapping up the final opportunity of open practice for fans on Friday night. Clean slate or breath of fresh air, however you want to put it, is how the big guys of the offensive line is responding to the new coaching staff. And while they say it's fun, they know it's like open competition on every spot of the line.
I'll tell you right now, Coach Frost, he's one of the boys. He cares about us more than about anyone else I've ever been around, and I really appreciate that. And when you got somebody like that who's got your back, you can play for that guy even harder as fast as you can. So we're going out there and playing free because there's no hesitation.
I'd say it's been a breath of fresh air. With Coach Duval coming in, it was a whole new strength staff, whole new training program, and I really took that seriously, I would say, this offseason, and it has shown up in everywhere on the field.
Man, it's really been a cultural shock, man. It's like two different head coaches. Like Cam was saying, Coach Frost is more of a player's coach. He's more relatable to a bunch of different things, and it's not just football with him. You can go talk to him about anything. He'll bring up different stuff, just give you different lessons on a lot of different things.
Yeah. When I came in last year, it definitely felt like they kind of had their guys. So, this year when we had a new staff and new coaches come in, it was really awesome to see new opportunities to come in for me, and I'm really appreciative, and I think things are going really well right now. So,
almost to an end. 1 week left of spring camp, and while progress has been made, everyone knows there's a long way to go. And with the portal opening up soon, players know that effort will be key entering this final week of spring practice, starting Tuesday, April 15th. And with your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
Hungriness to improve and the willingness to learn. That's how UCF defensive backs coach Brandon Harris would describe his group's development throughout the spring. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF here at the Nicholson Fieldhouse after Tuesday's spring practice. This DB's group has some returners and some new faces as well, and Coach Harris has called this spring an adventure. With this being the final week of spring practice, Coach Harris was candid about the portal, guys earning the job, and finishing strong.
The main thing I see, though, is the fact that they're asking the right questions. I like that. The first couple of days, it was kind of just cut and dry. It was kind of like, all right, Coach, you tell me what to do, and I'll try to do that. But as practices have progressed and as we've gotten more meeting time, the IQ has went up. And now they're texting me at nights and they're calling me on the weekends saying, Coach, I could have done better on this rep, or we could have played this a little bit better. So they're kind of catching on to the coaching points. They know what the expectations are. And when those guys start speaking the same language as you, that's something to start feeling good about.
Like other position groups, Coach Harris is focused on building continuity, but acknowledges the possibility of change due to the transfer portal.
It's just the new age college football. You have to adjust. You have to adapt to what it is. You can't complain about it. You have to face it straight on and find ways, okay, how are we going to keep our football team being the best team as we can be? And the thing that we all learned as a staff, and the approach that I take as well, like not to dance around it. Talk about it with the guys. Like, don't try to act like it doesn't exist. No, we're going to have the conversation. Like, we know what Wednesday is. We know what options are. We're going to have the conversation so we can all make the best decisions, for the team.
It's going to be an interesting final week of spring camp for the Knights as practice continues and the transfer portal opens. I'm Dwayne Jones with the Sons of UCF.
And just like that, we've reached the final week of spring camp. Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. After media availability on Tuesday with cornerbacks coach Brandon Harris and DBs, the players say they're being challenged to leave it all on the field this last week of spring practice because they don't want to take anything for granted.
Oh yeah. I feel like you gotta have a dog mentality if you playing corner or safety. I feel like that's really the key aspect of being a corner or being a defensive back. Like you gotta have a little dog, a little grit to you, you know.
Practices. What do you want to leave out there on the field?
Just go hard every practice. Leave no doubts, because some people don't always get a practice. No, some people don't get another day. Like it just don't. It's not. I'm not trying to take anything for granted. I feel like it's my third year, so that's my big thing, because years go by fast.
I'm gonna leave everything out there on the field, man. Try to reach my full potential in the spring and see what I need to work on for fall. It's competitive every day, man. So you can't take no days off. So you just gotta compete, really.
Only 2 more spring practices to go. Then the team will be fully underway to prepare for the fall. And while fundamentals are still key in spring, players say they will be giving it their all next practice. And with your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF. As Thursday concludes the next to last day of spring camp, the Knights are viewing these final few days as a 2-part exam, with Saturday being the final day. The Knights aren't coasting into the fall, as the urgency is picking up with starting spots to fill. Andrew Cherico here in the Nicholson Fieldhouse for the Sons of UCF. We got to speak with linebacker coach Mark D'Onofrio, and he says he expects continued effort to be displayed throughout the finale of spring camp, and players understand that jobs are on the line.
Yeah, I just want to see a surge, right? I want to, right? Human nature is to take a deep breath after a good practice, and call it a stalemate, right? But we want to get through these stalemates, right? We want to stalemate and surge to the end, and that's what we wanted to get done today. We had 2 practices, so kind of called it a final 2-part final exam here with Thursday and Saturday left, right? And this was part 1. All right, and we'll grade that. But I think just seeing us finish on a surge where we're executing at the highest level we have all spring, and we're competing at the highest level we have all spring.
Really just their grit. Like Coach D'Onofrio has really been testing us all spring, and really we're on the back end. And I know a lot of places, a lot of organizations, their mindset is to really settle down, die down, ease in, and then really just coast into the summer. But really out here, we've been ramping it up. It's no Coach D like to say. I know the expression is light at the end of the tunnel. He said it's no tunnel. Matter of fact, it's no light. It's just straight shovels, straight dirt and shovels. So really just having that mindset, finishing all the way through, that's really been separating us too as a unit.
You can see it getting better every day. I can say, like, each day we going out there, like, man, we getting closer. We getting closer and closer together as a unit. Like today, it was a great practice. We was out there flying around. I could just feel the energy, and that's coming together as brothers in one defensive unit.
Where UCF students are preparing for finals week, it's all the same for UCF football, where the second part of the exam is taking place on Saturday, the official last day of spring practice, where we're scheduled to hear from Coach Frost and ask him what his grades were on spring camp. And with your spring camp report, I'm Andrew Cherico for the Sons of UCF.
If UCF's head coach Scott Frost was a professor, he would grade this spring camp a success. I'm Nick Williams reporting for the Sons of UCF inside the Nicholson Fieldhouse after the Knights head coach gave us some encouraging words. He spoke on strides, potential, and improvements being 3 key terms, and this all stems from leadership, a role he not only wants from his coaching staff but also his players. And when summer conditioning comes around, it'll be the ideal time to give empowerment to his guys.
One of the big things on offense and defense that we really need to identify is leadership at this point. I think I've said this before, but we've intentionally not elevated guys into leadership roles yet until we were familiar with the guys, and with as many new players as we brought in, that all kind of had to work itself out. But now a team is powerful when a lot of leadership comes from inside the locker room instead of all of it coming from the coaching staff, and I think we're going to have to empower some of those people very soon to make sure that the leadership is horizontal within the locker room instead of all coming down from on top.
For head coach Scott Frost, the most exciting thing about this Knights team is the potential.
It's still potential right now, but I see a lot of people getting better. There's some guys that were here before that have surprised me. I think the staff did a good job evaluating a lot of the additions that we made, and those guys showed up and were as good, or in some cases even better than what we expected. And we got the makings of a really solid team, but we have a long way to go still.
With another transfer window already opened, Coach believes this team is ready for the second time around.
Obviously, I think we're more prepared going into a second portal, which I don't think anybody in the country likes, this second portal, but going into this. I think we have a little better understanding of where we are. When you're a new coach and they bring in, you're having to take other guys' words on what guys are like on the current team, and you're working off not enough information. I think we have more information now. Certainly more pleased with a lot of the pieces we have on the team than maybe we even expected to be, and I hope there's not major turnover. If there's a few ways and additions that we can make to make our team better, we'll try to.
With no official depth chart and a lot of moving pieces, Coach Frost and his staff knows that there's a lot of time to evaluate talent.
Yeah, I think we'll sit down as a coaching staff and kind of figure out where we are right now in terms of each position and kind of a hierarchy at that position. But, we're 13 practices in. We have a whole summer. We have a whole fall camp. So nothing's set in stone right now. And I think we have an idea of where guys might slip in, but there's still some guys with a chance to come up and change that too.
Although spring camp is wrapped up, the summer is full of opportunity to make improvements.
Absolutely. Summer is going to be important for us because now that we've introduced a lot of things to the players, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to sit and watch tape with them, explain things in more detail to them, continue working out. We kind of made a choice as a staff in the winter that we thought we needed a lot of work in the weight room. I think probably running and conditioning wasn't emphasized as much because we thought we had to spend the time in the weight room to get a good base for the guys. So, this summer we can catch up on some of that. Hopefully that limits some of our soft tissue injuries that we had during spring. There's a lot of things, team coming together, team camaraderie, identifying leaders, empowering leaders, continuing to know scheme, getting in better shape, getting stronger. There's a lot of things that can be done in summer to make you better.
With spring camp concluded and exams underway, summer conditioning is right around the corner, a time where UCF's coaching staff can evaluate and improve players. Because right before you know it, the Knights' 2025 football season will kick off. For the Sons of UCF, I'm Nick Williams.
Culture is a word that's been emphasized this spring and Scott Frost's return to UCF. You guys got the chance to speak to some of those culture builders. What have you heard?
Yeah, Dwayne, we got to speak with one of my favorite interviews, a player that the defense has always raved about, especially when they said who made a highlight play. A common name we heard was safety, Phillip Dunham, number 2. And one of the major things about him is that he gets big hits and he likes interceptions as well. And when speaking with him, he said he just looks forward to attacking the ball, especially coming up in the fall.
Phillip Dunham, a name to keep an eye on. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, for me, it was more along the coaching angle whenever you had quarterbacks coach Mackenzie Milton out there speaking on how excited he was to be back on this field. He's the ultimate culture builder for UCF, and Knight Nation is just as excited as he is to be back.
Like any team, there's a lot of questions coming out of the spring, but summer conditioning is next, and then we will see if this UCF team can answer some of those questions when we see them back on the practice field in August. For Nick Williams and Andrew Cherico, I'm Dwayne Jones for the Sons of UCF.